let's talk about the concept of average in statistics. You might remember this from your past math training. There's three kinds of averages. There's the mean, the median, and the mode. These are all what we call in statistics measures of central tendency. In other words, you know, kind of by given a bunch of data, a bunch of information, well, what's in the center of that? What's kind of the average? And that's an important concept because it gives us a certain idea about the information. When we use the word average in common language, we are typically talking about the mean. So you might remember the mean. If I want to find what's the average of 3, 7, and 12, I'm going to add them up. What's that going to be? 10. That's going to be 2, 22, and I'm going to divide that by 3, and the average is 7.33. So that's how you calculate the mean. I think you remember how to do that. You add up all the numbers, you divide by the number of numbers that you have, and you get the mean. So if you just see the word average, you can pretty much assume we're talking about the mean. But if you want to talk about the median or the mode, then you have to be very specific and say, I want to know what the median is or the mode. And really, it's a good idea to get into the habit of not using the word average at all and saying what is the mean, the median, or the mode. Now, I'm also going to say that the mode is something that is really not used that much. Mode is the value that is the most frequent. So if I had a set of information that was like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, let's make these all separate, 8, 99, well, the mode is 2 because that one has happened most frequently. Generally not as useful. You're not going to see it a lot. Mostly you're going to be seeing mean and median. Now, when I'm talking about the mean or the median, one of these measures of central tendency, an average, I'm speaking of it and I'm referring to one variable. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to say, well, what's the average number of dogs and cats in each household? I mean, I guess that would be okay to say, but usually be saying what's the average number of dogs per household, what's the average number of cats per household, otherwise you're going to say what's the average number of pets per household, but you're only finding one variable. You're not really combining variables when you're finding the average, the mean, or the median. So before I get into the example on the worksheet, I'm going to give you like a little bit different example, a little bit more simple. These are all packs of M&Ms. And if you know me, you know that I really like M&Ms. It's my favorite candy. But I'm trying not to eat as many. So what I want to know is how many blue M&Ms are in a pack? On average, what's the mean in this case? So let's say this pack has 8, this pack has 10, this pack has 3, this pack has 2, and this pack has 7. Well, I have just counted the number of blue M&Ms in each pack. So if I want to find the average number of blue M&Ms in a pack, I'm going to go 8 plus 10 plus 3 plus 2 plus 7, which very conveniently comes out to be 30. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different packs of M&Ms. So I'm going to take 30. I'm going to divide it by 5. And I'm going to get, it's an average, it's a mean of 6. Now I could put that on something that is called a dot plot. Most frequently in a dot plot, we will make the x-axis the variable that we're trying to analyze. Variable. And the variable we're trying to analyze in this case is the number of blue M&Ms per pack of M&Ms. So I could have had a pack that had 1. I could have had a pack that had 2. I could have had a pack that had 3. let's stop at 10. Let's say I could have had a pack that had any one of these numbers of M&Ms. One blue M&M, 2 blue M&Ms, 5 blue M&Ms, 8 blue M&Ms. And the y-axis is the count. That's not the count of how many M&Ms there are. It's a count of how many packs have that number of M&Ms. So in my case here, well, my first pack had 8. So let's make a scale here. So 1 pack, 2 packs, 3 packs, 4 packs, 5 packs. So I just labeled my y-axis the count of packs with that number of blue M&Ms. So I had 1 pack with 8. So here's 8. I had another pack with 10. So it's 1 pack with 10. I had another pack with 3. See, I'm putting these dots there. I had another pack with 2. And I had another pack with 7. Now let's say I go to the store and I buy another pack. And this pack also has, let's say I buy 2 packs of M&Ms. And one has 7 and another has 3. Well, if I want to add that to my dot plot, this one that has 7, now that instead of being 1, it's 2 packs have 7. And instead of the one that had 3, instead of 1 pack having 3, a second one has 3. If I went and bought some more packs of M&Ms, so I just went out and bought 4 more packs, so I'm kind of building on my data here, building on my information. 1 pack had 2, so now it makes 2 packs that had 2. Another one had 3, so now I have 3 packs that had 3 blue. 4, well, that's my first number 4. 7, that makes my third one with number 7. And 10, that makes my second one with number 10. So I'm kind of developing this, this graphical way of looking at the data, and this is called a dot plot, because I'm plotting dots. A dot plot. And generally speaking, on the x-axis is your variable that you're looking for, and the y-axis is simply the count of that variable. So my variable was number of blue M&Ms, and I had 2 packs that had 2 packs that had 2. I had 3 packs that had 3 blue M&Ms. I had 1 pack that had 4 blue M&Ms, like that. Now, I'm going to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench in here. And I'm going to say there are some times when they don't put the count on the y-axis, they put it on the x-axis. So you have to look carefully at your axes, how they are labeled, because sometimes they might make it like that. Whoops, not all my dots came. Let's try it again. Sometimes they'll switch the axes on you. But what you need to remember is that one axis is the variable, the other axis is simply a count of the number of times that variable is. So let's go back to our problem here from the worksheet. Well, you can see we have this nice dot plot right here. And in keeping with general convention, but not always convention, the number of footballs per household or per person is on the x-axis, and this really is the count of the number of people who have this many footballs. So, for example, my first person, let's just say, was this person right here. So one person has 1 football in their house, and then another person has 1 football in their house, and another person has 1 football in their house. And then, well, it turns out that one person has 2 footballs in their house, and another person has 2 footballs in their house, and one person has 5 footballs in their house, and one person has 9 footballs in their house. It doesn't really matter in what order you stumble across these people, because you're just plotting them on this graph. So as it turns out, there are 5 people who have 1 football in the house. There are 7 people who have 2 footballs in the house. 5 people who have 3 footballs in the house, 3 people that have 4 footballs in the house, 2 that have 5, 1 that has 6, 1 that has 8, nobody has 7, 1 that has 9. So this is our data. And I want to find out, well, what's the average number of footballs that people have in their house? Well, first thing I got to do is I got to find out, well, how many footballs are there here, right? So I have 5 people that have 1 football in the house, and I'm adding that to the 7 people who have 2 footballs in the house, and then I'm adding that to the 5 people who have 3 footballs in the house, and I'm adding that to the 3 people that have 4 footballs in the house. Then I'm adding the 2 people that have 5 footballs in the house, and then the 1 person that has 6, the 1 person that has 8, and the 1 person that has 9, and when I add all those up, I find out I got 79 footballs going on here. Well, how many people do I have? Well, each of these is just 1 person. That's the count of the number of people that have 1 football, 2 football, 3 footballs. So I just add up all these dots, and I find out there are 25 dots. So my mean is going to be 79 footballs divided by 25 dots. I have an average, a mean, of 3.16 footballs. That's my variable per person. P-E-R-S-O-N. That's how I would calculate the mean. Now, what about the median? How am I going to calculate the median? Let's take a look. The median is the middle number. So I need to kind of look at this and figure out, well, number of footballs in the house is my variable. So I have 5 people that have 1 football. So there's 1 person, 2 person, 3, hang on a second. Let's try that again. I have this person has 1 football, another person has 1 football, another person has 1, another person has 1, another person has 1. 5 people have 1. Now, I have 7 people that have 2. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 7 people that have 2. I have 5 people that have 3. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 3 people that have 4. 1, 2, 3. 3 4s. I have 2 5s. 5 and a 5. And then I have a 6, an 8, and a 9. The median is the number of footballs that is right in the middle. Well, I had 25, so one way to do that is to find the middle is to go 25 divided by 2, and that is equal to 12.5. So it means if I count 12 in from either side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can count 12 in from this side too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. My median is this one that is right in the middle. That is the 3. Now the super important thing to remember about the median is that when you get your data, you have to organize your data from smallest to largest. If you just enter them in, if you just have them randomly, then you're not going to be able to find the median. You need to have them from smallest to largest. Now somebody's going to say, what if I do it from largest to smallest? You can do that, but statistics is a part of mathematics too. And generally, like when we have the XY axis, You know, we start here at the smaller numbers and the larger numbers move to the right. So I would just get in the habit of putting the smallest numbers on the left and the larger numbers on the right. Another way people like to do this when they have the numbers all lined up like that is to just go from each side, cross one off here and one off there, 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 one off there. And if you do that, you can see it's going to gradually shrink up, and you're still going to get to the same median. Now, this one here happens to be an example that had an odd number, 25, of data items. So it was really easy to find out the 3 right here. But what happens if I had, say, erased the first 1, and I only had 24 data items? Well, 24 divided by 2 is equal to 12. And if I count 12, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if I count 12 this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I don't have anything that's in there. Well, in this case, I really should have erased the 9, but I didn't. What you would do is you would take this number here and that number there and find the average, the mean of those 2 numbers. So let's say I had been smart, sorry for confusing you here, and I'd left this 1 here, but I'd gotten rid of the 9. Well, in that case, our median would have been right there between the 2 and the 3. So I go 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, and I just divide that in half, and my median would be 2.5. So even though there is no 2.5 number here, that is still my median in this particular case if I had erased that 9 in. So you find the mean between the 2 numbers on either side of the middle spot. So our median in this particular case is 3. The mode, again, although you're not going to have to use it that much, and I don't know that I've seen many SAT problems that even have it, the mode is the value that is the largest, that occurs the most frequent. Well, that was pretty easy to see. 2 is going to be the mode, because there's 7 people that have 2 footballs, and nobody, the next closest is 5 that have 1 football and 5 that have 3 footballs. So the mode is clearly 2. Mode is 2. Let's talk about range just for a minute here. Range is not exactly a measure of central tendency, but it's going to be important to understand information about the data. The range is simply the difference between the largest value and the smallest value. So in this case, our largest value, one person had 9 footballs, and our smallest was one person had 1 football, so our range is 8. That would be our range. Now, some of these problems, even though this looks like a pretty simple problem, and we can certainly calculate it out by hand, it's kind of a pain. Because, I mean, for example, this part here, I'm having to do quite a bit of individual multiplication. When I was calculating out the median, I had to write down all the numbers in order. And, if you have 25 numbers, it's easy to miss one and get your orders wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this on the calculator. And the calculator is really going to be your friend here. So let's see how to do that. So in order to use a calculator on these kind of problems, you have to be very clear on which part is your variable and which part is your count. So what I'm going to do here is in L1, let's see, how do I get to this? Okay, so you're looking at your calculator here. Here's what your calculator looks like. And you want to enter this into the statistical part of your calculator. So you see this button right here, it says stat. I press the button that says stat. And when I want to enter in data, when I want to enter in information, I want to edit it. So I press 1. and I get this series. Your calculator should have basically, it has a default of 6 lists. So it goes L1 to L2 to L3 to L4 to L5 to L6. We can add other lists if we want to later on, but for right now we're just going to use list 1 and list 2. So list 1 is going to be the variables that I have. Well, the variable is how many footballs are in each household? Well, I can have 1 football, 2 footballs, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But in this particular example, I have some households that have 1 variable, 1 football, and I press enter. I'm entering that into L1.
Please excuse the interruption to Mr. Lynn. Please come to the office. Mr. Lynn, please come to the office.
I also have some households that have 2 footballs. I have some that have 3 footballs. I have some that have 4 footballs. I have some that have 5 footballs. I have some that have 6 footballs. I don't have any that have 7 footballs. I'm going to skip it. I have some that have 8 and some that have 9. So those are all my variables. Now, how many of them have 1? Well, 5 have 1. How many have 2? 7 have 2. This is where I'm entering in my count. How many have 3? 5 have 3. How many have 4? 3 have 4. How many, again, it's my count. How many have 5? 2 families have 5. How many have 6? 1. How many have 8? 1. How many have 9? 1. So I've entered in my data. My variable is L1. My count is in L2, or my frequency is in L2. And now I'm going to go stat, and you see at the top I have 3 menus here. I have an edit menu. I'll try and mark it here. I have an edit menu, I have a calc menu, and I have a test menu. I want to use the calc menu, so I'm just going to scroll over to the top. And I'm given a bunch of different things that I can calculate, but right now I am just interested in 1 variable statistics. I'm just doing 1 variable statistic. So I press 1 for 1 variable statistics, and it's saying, okay, 1 variable stat, what do you want to do? So I say, well, I want to analyze the statistics in L1, my list 1, and my list 2. And if you look above the number 1 on your calculator, which my number 1 is red right now, and the arrow is pointing to it, there's a little blue L1. So if I want to enter L1, I go second, L1. I put a comma, and I put second, L2. So now I have identified for the calculator what is the 1 variable stat that I want to analyze. And when I press enter, it's going to give me a bunch of numbers. And the first number that I see up there is X with a bar over it. And when you see any kind of a variable with a bar over it, that means the mean. So I've gotten the mean, 3.16. Well, that was what we determined a little while ago, that the mean was 3.16. For right now, I don't need to worry about any of those others. If I go down to the bottom there, it says n equals 25. N is the number that's used for the number of families that I have here. That's my total count is 25. And if I push the down button, I'm going to get some interesting information. And right now, the piece of information that I'm interested in is right here. It gives me the median. So I can use my calculator to very quickly, all I have to do is enter in the data, and I can get the mean and the median very quickly. And as we go through this section here on statistics, this 1 variable statistics is going to become very handy for doing things like box plots and other things that we're going to be doing in not that long. Practice this. Get in the habit of using L1 as your X value, your variable, and using the L2 for your count, for the frequency, how often that variable happens.